With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.
Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. Again, I am your host, Corey Cannon, alongside James Foster here. We're continuing on our conversation on quarterbacks. So the last episode, we talked about 5 of the bigger names in the class. Today, we're going to talk about 5 who I had originally pitched it as like, let's talk about the young guys and the old guys. But then there's 2 guys in this group that are 4th years, so they're not necessarily young guys. But I think the best way to maybe characterize this group, this like tier of quarterbacks, are the wild cards. Maybe that's a better term for them than the young guys. Because each of them have a little bit of a loose cannon kind of streak to them, and or some or a pretty big red flag, but also a lot of really fun tools to talk about today. Before we do that, James, welcome back onto the show. Are you excited to talk some more quarterbacks?
Yeah, it could end up being kind of like the 2027 quarterback class preview, but some fun guys to talk about here for sure. For sure,
yeah. Again, I think we've mentioned this so many times on this podcast, like Dalton and I just talked about, like these guys are getting paid like $4 to $8 million a year to play quarterback at the college level. Like there's just no rush for these guys to leave. And again, 3 of the guys on this list that we're going to talk about are only 20 years old entering this season. So like good chance this is a 2027 primer a little bit here, but let's start with the two older guys since you know they might have the best chance at coming out of these guys that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about the one that you like the most here. Let's start with Josh Hoover from TCU. Let's start with Josh Hoover.
Yeah, so Josh Hoover, I've got at quarterback 7, quarterback out of TCU. Didn't really have many expectations heading into his tape. Hadn't heard much about him, but he was probably the biggest pleasant surprise in this class. I think, first of all, just so much of his tape is translatable as far as what TCU asked him to do in their offense. He had the highest percentage of his throws last year in this quarterback class were from within the pocket. Had a let's see, I think it was a 11.5% career pressure to sack rate. I think his pocket presence and ability to work the middle of the field are his 2 best traits. Also extremely tough when it comes to standing in the pocket, taking a hit if he's got to buy an extra second for a route to develop. Just want him to get more accurate in the short to intermediate area. That's really his biggest thing. I think like he's got the potential to be someone who is one of these, you know, surgical intermediate pocket passers, but the efficiency of that, he's got to be a little bit more accurate for that to really fly. And I think like his arm strength is probably average. I view his arm pretty similarly to like Sam Levitt's, where I don't think he has elite range or anything, but I do like his release, and I think he can put zip on the ball.
Yeah, his velocity is real nice. He's got some real nice velocity, and his arm's really flexible too. Yeah, you mentioned his release, really flexible arm. So I think I'm like really Dr. Jekyll or like Jekyll and Hyde with Josh Hoover, because you see some really awesome flashes, but I think like the Baylor game, I'm very turned off by the Baylor game. If you watch the Baylor game, like
yeah,
there's so many times they're running 3-3-5 tight, right? And And there's just so many times they're only bringing 3 and he's drifting to his right for God knows why, or like he's bailing against three-man fronts. And it's like the flashes of that pocket toughness are there, but the accuracy is the biggest thing holding me up. I was quite a bit lower on him coming into the season in my quarterback rankings. Again, I like some of the tools. He's a good athlete too, so he's got the ability to extend. He's got the ability to throw off platform. But boy, the accuracy, more specifically, like the leverage throws in tight windows, the leverage throws over the middle of the field, is like hit him on the right shoulder. Like it's the wrong shoulder often. Receivers are having to extend over the middle of the field, which is, a good way to get CTE, a good way to streamline the CTE pathway there for those receivers. So I like Hoover. We'll see what happens now. This is what I think his 2.5 season. I think he took over halfway through 2023 for TCU. So he's an established veteran, for what we can consider an established veteran at the college level. I would like to see him hit another level. I like McAllister. Outside of that, like TCU might be lacking a little bit of firepower for him around him. But I do want to see him take another step forward. I do like him more than John Mateer, though, who's the second, fourth-year guy we'll talk about here. To me, John Mateer is like the definition of a loose cannon, like to a T in this class, in this group. He's the loosest cannon of these guys in this class. But I think he's the place to start because, again, he's the other fourth-year guy. Again, I really like his velocity. I really like the drive that he puts on the football. His release is very flexible as well. He's a heck of an athlete. Like probably, let's see, we got Sellers. I think Klubnik's an athlete. He might be on like the same tier of an athlete as Klubnik when he tucks it in as a ball carrier. He can move in the open field. But I really question a lot about what he's seeing, diagnosing, both pre-snap and what he sees post-snap. Like, I mean, Washington State was running just a lot of like pretty basic vertical concepts too, like Y cross, some stuff like that. And I thought he was late or just didn't completely even see them. A lot of the times, I think his patience in the pocket is pretty thin because he's got a lot of mobility. So a lot of these 2nd and 2s, 4th and 1s, 3rd and 3s, I don't even think he's looking to throw predominantly. I think he's like in the back of his mind is like, yeah, if this isn't here, I'm taking it. Like I'm taking off. If what I see like pre-snap isn't here, I'm taking off. It bothers me quite a bit because I do think there's a lot of yards left on the field. We'll see, though. Ben Arbuckle went to OU with him. I mean, that's the reason he's at OU. So, second season in that system with the same offensive coordinator, with more talent around him. We'll see. But again, with Mateer as well, the accuracy is way off the mark. It's way off the mark as well. So, I think he's a loose cannon, a really fun college quarterback. Projecting him to the NFL is one of the more difficult things to try to do right now.
Yeah, John Mateer is probably the guy that, like, since I've been putting out rankings and stuff about the 2026 class, that I've been getting, like, always been getting comments about, like, you need to watch John Mateer. So I had a lot higher expectations for him than this. He's just kind of got, like, a BB gun to me. I didn't think, like, I thought there were a lot of bad decisions and a lot of passes just kind of floated into tight windows that and like I'll have to check the numbers, but yeah, I mean, he threw a good amount of turnover worthy plays, like 16 turnover worthy plays last year. Feels like he's going to be a guy that throws like 12 picks a year in the league. Was kind of my big takeaway. So yeah, he was my quarterback 9. Probably the biggest disappointment in this class for me.
It's pretty appropriate. It's interesting that you saw his arm as a BB gun because I do think he can drive the football with a great deal of velocity, like a pretty good amount of velocity. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of thought Kyle Williams was waiting on a lot of deep balls last year also.
Yeah. Some of that could be just being late. I think he's late a lot instead of anticipating and getting it out front.
And like, so I watched, he's the most recent guy I watched. Normally I watch just like full games, but I did every throw of 28 plus air yards and every third or fourth down drop back. And like the third and fourth down stuff, usually it's a lot of high leverage throws when I watch that playlist with quarterbacks, but it's like they ran more screens and like gimmicky stuff on third downs than anyone I've watched.
Yeah, I don't think they trust his eyes as well. It's interesting that the offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, is like, yeah, I want him to come with me. It could be a familiarity thing for him as well. Because I feel like Oklahoma, I mean, like Mateer was one of the top transfer quarterbacks as well, so it makes a little bit more sense. But
yeah, I mean, I think he'll be a good college quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. Translating that to the NFL, though, we'll see what happens there. Let's move on to now we're into the 320-year-olds here. So again, the odds that any of these guys come out this year, unless like they explode onto the scene, which there's one guy who has tape that I think could, because there's a lot of NFL worthy stuff. But let's talk about the one with the highest stars and the least amount of NFL worthy stuff on his tape last year to start. And then that's going to be UCLA quarterback Nico Iamaleava here. It's really disappointing too, because I feel like if you would have talked to us last summer, we would have been like, yeah, we're looking forward to Nico Iamaleava in 2026. And now we're sitting here on the verge of the 2025 season and like the 2026 class, and we're like, yeah, this guy's not even close. It's pretty unfortunate. I mean, the guy's got a hose. The guy's got tools. He's got lower half tools to move to. The dude played in the most juvenile offensive system and couldn't outproduce Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton, and that's a place to start. I think you got to start there. And then when you turn on the tape, it's like, yeah, I mean, it adds up as well. He's late throwing over the middle. He's high throwing over the middle. He doesn't know how to layer footballs. Like everything is one speed. Like everything's a fastball, a four-seamer. It's the only pitch he's got is a four-seamer. And then the accuracy is just all over the place too. I think he's got some pretty bad base and footwork tendencies, some pretty bad response to pressure. We'll see if isolating him out of the Heppel offense and with Tino Sinceri at UCLA in that offense. You know, Tino Sinceri is the Kurt Cignetti kind of protege who has followed him from James Madison to Indiana and now gets his own offensive coordinator gig out in Southern California. So Nico, I think he was like my quarterback 9, quarterback 10, something like that, just because the tools are still outrageous. Like you see why he was a 5-star, but then like, that's it. Under the hood, he's a Corvette, right? He's a Ferrari. He's whatever high-end car you want to name, but you get under the hood and there's nothing under there. So I need to see a lot from a cognitive perspective pre-snap. I need to see his process post-snap play out a lot better. And then I just need to see him like get the ball from point A to point B, like on target would be a great place to start too.
Yeah, I think we've talked a little bit about Nico, but like really I see it very similarly, and I see two big things that he's got to fix, and it's the deep ball and processing. And like, I think to me, fixing his deep ball, which was atrocious last year, that's a very straightforward path towards him being like a good college quarterback. Like I think especially in a system like Tennessee's where he just has to be a point and shoot guy. Like I posted a cut up that went kind of viral, like responding to like Nico and his camp were complaining about the surrounding core or like supporting cast or whatever. And I just posted a cut up of all of his deep ball misses last year. And it's like, when you just watch them all one after another, you see the formula is kind of there. He's just got to start hitting these throws 30 plus yards down the field. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to translating it to the NFL, there's just nothing really to build on from a mental standpoint. And like, you know, I've made this point before, but him moving to UCLA's offense will make it easier it'll make an easier projection, but there's nothing on his tape last year that would suggest he's ready to, you know, bite off more mentally, because he felt like it seemed like he was drowning in Heupel's offense,
which is rough.
Yeah.
to be drowning in that offense. How I opened up with Nico, like that offense either wants you to throw a slant, a curl, or a 9-ball.
Mhm.
And again, he threw 17 touchdown passes, something like that, in an offense that literally all they wanted to do was throw the ball down the field. So that's a rough place to sit for Nico. Again, you never know as well what moving home could do for the kid either. So like he moved to Knoxville from Southern California. Now he's back in Southern California. Again, there's some stuff that doesn't have to do with the football field with Nico as well that he's probably got to get sorted out, i.e. how controlling of individual and of his camp his father is. But again, we're talking about a 19-year-old kid right now still. So again, he'll be 20 in season. So
I think there's a lot of development that still needs to happen. I don't know how much of it would have to do with homesickness though. Cause I mean, like nowadays I know Nico just bought a house in Knoxville and like his entire family was living in Knoxville also. So it's kind of like a perfect setup. But yeah, he's like, the thing is you can only give him so low of a grade because the arm is phenomenal.
Tools are great. Yeah.
And so if you still can see what it would look like if he did take a jump. So like I have a lot of I went to Tennessee, and so I have a lot of like Tennessee fans that follow me, and I always say like be careful about how much you're talking about Nico right now, because he could end up being like a lot better than he was last year. Like that's still
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
That's still a realistic outcome.
Yeah, I mean UCLA transferred in quite a bit of talent too. So, yeah, well, that's what I'm like monitoring. But like, unless he has just an outrageous season, I think he's coming back no matter what.
Yeah.
Another 19-year-old here, Arizona State, Sam Levitt, first-year starter, Michigan State transfer. Again, with these guys, we're talking about so many first-year starters too. And again, we're just seeing so much sample size and so much data. It's like the guys who play 2-3 years of college football are the ones who are transitioning to the NFL a lot easier. So that's why it's so hard to talk about these guys. But Sam Levitt, definitely that same kind of mold as like Mateer, where it's like those dudes, if that first read isn't there, they're looking to get their feet moving. Their feet are looking like Roadrunner. Getting out of the pocket and trying to pick up something with their legs. I like Levitt's arm too. I don't know how much like distance wise, but like I think he can drive the ball well on a line. Very good athlete. Here's one thing when I'm watching quarterbacks now. Again, I chart the accuracy and obviously I weigh that a lot. One area that I'm starting to value significantly more than I did in the past is quarterback's response to pressure. Like that means a lot to me. Like, how do these guys look in structure? How do they handle it when guys are staring down the barrel? I think that's why I like Fernando Mendoza so much. Like, if you go back and listen to any episode where we're talking about quarterbacks or read any article on my Substack, but like some of his most impressive throws are he's getting hit in the chin, or he's getting taken out from his legs, or like in high leverage situations, and he's putting the ball on the money. I see a lot of panic with Sam Levitt in situations where he ideally I'd want him to stare down the barrel or continue to work through progressions and get the ball out on time, or have the urgency to know. I don't know if he sees a lot pre-snap in terms of like his responsibility in pass pro, but this is what I will say about Sam Levitt. He is working with the guy in Kenny Dillingham who turned Bo Nix from what he was in Auburn to what he was at Oregon, and now and then to a first-round pick. What I see from Sam Levitt right now is very much like who Bo Nix was at Auburn, like that kind of like maniac, like just running around all over the place back there, trying to make something happen with his legs, hope somebody comes open down the field and throw the football. Like, I think it's very much a similar vibe. So how does that then look next year, and then probably the year after that as well, under Kenny Dillingham? Like, because like for me, like Sam Levitt is a guy's like, I will buy Sam Levitt stock and I will hold on to it for a couple of years, because that's the kind of progression that I can see in my mind playing out with Sam Levitt.
Yeah, my comp for Sam Levitt was Auburn Bo Nix.
Well, there we go. There we go. That's very much the same kind of athlete, the same kind of arm, the same kind of like paranoia that Auburn Bo Nix played with. It's just like it's all there.
Yeah, he is like, I mean, he isn't there yet just from a mentality standpoint. Like, he is so just first read and then run. And like just the pocket ADHD that he plays with makes it kind of unworkable in the NFL. I mean, it gets better a little bit, but if you're like me and you started with the Texas game, it's like, does this guy ever hang in the pocket? And it's like, sometimes he's doing it for legitimate reasons, but then there's sometimes where, like I said in my piece for Wide Left, that it's like sometimes he breaks the pocket because he is getting pressured. Sometimes he just gets the zoomies after his first read isn't open, which is like what it feels like with Sam Levitt. I think when he go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's either that or like there are so many reps where like Cam Scadaboo's just getting pelted in the side of the head with the football as well. Like he's not even looking for the ball and just like off of his helmet.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, this is where I'm going with the football. I'm just throwing it. And he's like, there's just no expectation that the football is coming Scadaboo's way, and he's just getting pelted.
Yeah. I thought that in isolated examples when he did stay in the pocket, there was a lot of promising stuff from Sam Levitt, but he had the his average drop back depth last year, 7.6 yards, was the highest in this quarterback class. Which like I feel like you would guess. He left the pocket on 25.3% of his dropbacks last year, which was the highest rate among draftable quarterback prospects, except for like Noah Fifita, who I haven't really watched, but I've seen him. Yeah. And then led the class with 28.3% of his total attempts coming from outside the pocket. So like that kind of just speaks to his overall play style. But I mean, this is a really good athlete. Like the other comparison I had for him is like who Shedeur Sanders thinks he is, because he tries to do the stuff that Shedeur Sanders would try to do, except he isn't getting hawked by like Big 12 defensive ends, which is refreshing. That like his play style actually kind of led to escapability. But I had Sam Levitt at QB6. I think he's probably out of the guys that I'm like paying attention to for next year, he's the guy that I would have the most confidence in right now.
He is the guy that I would have the second most confidence in going into next year of those like not upperclassmen or big name guys that we talk about.
Yeah.
It's because this next guy is the guy that I would have the most confidence in. Again, entering so it's only his second season at Michigan State. We're talking about Aiden Childs at Michigan State here. It's only his second season at Michigan State. Second season as full starter. Third season, though, with Jonathan Smith. Third season, though, in the same offensive system. And I'm a huge Jonathan Smith believer. Like, he made DJ Uiagalelei look tolerable, which I think took a lot of effort once you removed him from that, from Oregon State and from Jonathan Smith, and you kind of really saw who DJ Uiagalelei was. And I think the highs, the flashes that you saw from Aiden Childs last year were some of the best in the nation. Again, his anticipation on some of those deep outs, those corner routes, 9 balls, like the deep balls, is truly spectacular. People will watch kind of his highlights and say, like, well, he's just a runner. He's not. But, like, I think his pocket maneuverability is also very good, like, for who he is right now.
He's firmly a pocket passer.
A pure pocket passer, yes. Yeah. Now, the Iowa game, like, he will slide through and he'll create with his legs when he has to, but he is very good at stepping through, navigating pressure. Like, he's very slippery in structure. The arm, I would probably just say, is like a B to B minus arm, I would say. But, and I know, like, the huddle data that you have is it huddle or SIS that has him kind of scattered in terms of accuracy.
Sports Solutions had him as the least accurate quarterback. They had him as like the 7th least accurate in college football, pretty much.
Yeah. And I see that over the middle of the field specifically. I charted him pretty low over the middle of the field. Outside the numbers, though, and down the field, I had him as pretty good. Down the field, actually, the sample size is really limited throwing the deep ball, though, from his against Power 5 opponents. Like, again, especially during summer scouting, I'm not wasting time charting games against FCS or G4 opponents when you have Power 5 guys on your schedule, a large enough sample size of Power 5 guys on your schedule, so or Power 4 guys on your schedule. So I thought the deep ball and the ability to layer outside the numbers was really good. And again, I think his legs are awesome. So, but with Childs is now where I want Sellers to get in structure, if that makes sense. Like, where I want Lenore Sellers to get. Like, I see Lenore Sellers fighting that demon of, like, wanting to stay in structure and work through, but he's still kind of like, I got to get out of here and make something happen with my legs because he's a good athlete. Childs really is, like, very good in structure. I think he throws from a great base. I think his release is nice. Again, the velocity is where I have some concerns. I think the arm strength is probably good. You probably have the data to back that up, but the velocity, the ability to drive, I don't see a high level ability to drive. But where I'm most bullish on Childs again is that kind of NFL structure, that NFL transition of playing in through the pocket with Jonathan Smith, who I'm very bullish on as a head coach. Like, there are fewer coaches that I would trust more with a young quarterback than Jonathan Smith. Year 3 with him. And so, like, I think it's going to click. And if it clicks, like, we're talking about a guy with very clean translatable traits to the next level.
Yeah, I think I was probably a little bit higher on his arm than it sounds like you are. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I agree a lot with Aiden Childs. I think he probably had the most extreme gap between his best and worst moments on tape, for sure. But for a 19-year-old, he's so advanced as far as, like, the windows that he's comfortable attacking and the anticipation. I mean, one of the first throws that I watched was the Ohio State game. He had this play action deep out that was, like, way before the receiver was out of his break. It's just kind of one of those things where you see it and you immediately know the type of player you're dealing with. I think that I was a little bit, like, less worried about his decision making, which I thought was going to be a problem because he threw, what was it, 11 interceptions, had a lot of turnover worthy plays. When I actually watch all of his interceptions, to me, it was way more of an accuracy issue. True Media has incompletion type, and they have misreading coverage as kind of like the go-to for, like, a mental error that leads to a mistake. And that was for two. That was the reason for 2 of Aiden Childs' interceptions. The rest were behind the receiver, overthrows, batted pass, close coverage. I really thought his accuracy, like, within 20 yards, is what led to most of his issues, just kind of like sailing 10-yard passes. So yeah, that's the biggest thing for Aiden Childs. He is a little bit too aggressive for sure, but I would take, like, honestly, a lot of the bad plays that come with that, just based on the windows that he's willing to test and kind of throws that are on the field for him that aren't for a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think Aiden Childs and Lenore Sellers might be a good case study in if arm arrogance is developmental, like if you can develop arm arrogance, or like it's just one of those things you got or you don't. Because again, Aiden Childs has a lot of arm arrogance. And I also think with Aiden Childs, we have to have the conversation that Mel Tucker literally burned that program to the ground, like on his way out. And that was year one of Jonathan Smith last year, right? So like they surrounded him outside of Nick Marsh, who Nick Marsh is awesome. There wasn't a lot of talent surrounding him. I know Michigan State hit the portal again. We're only talking about year two of that rebuild of that program. So it still might not be great. But I think there are a lot of instances where Aiden Childs felt like perhaps like the weight of a program was on his shoulders and that he had to play some hero ball, which probably led to a lot of that aggression. But I also just think he has a really healthy amount of arm arrogance. And and that's where I want to know, like, is that coachable? Is that developmental? Is that developable? Like, because I think actually Lenore Sellers will be the test of that, because that's a guy with unlimited tools who has zero arm arrogance right now. So, I like Childs a lot. I came in with Childs at QB4 for me entering the season. So outside of Mendoza, Sellers, and Klubnik, like I've got him right there. And again, that's because I'm not high on Aller or Nussmeier, as we talked about last episode. But I just think what he can do is what NFL teams tend to look for in quarterbacks. The ability to play in structure, the ability to, his response to pressure was really good. Like it's really good. His sack avoidance is really good. Now, like, settle it down a little bit. I think, when he does start to get on the move a little bit is when his base can kind of collapse underneath of him. But I'm bullish on Aiden Childs, so I'm glad that you're kind of on the same page there.
Yeah, and I mean, in retrospect, thinking about it over, like I could definitely justify him over Sam Levitt. But yeah, I feel like he's going to be a top 5 to 10 pick at some point.
At some point. I would agree with that. I know there's some scouts who think the same thing. So, but that's it for this wild card episode. I think that's just the best way to classify these guys, the wild cards, these 5 quarterbacks. We've got one more episode on quarterbacks where we're just going to talk about the elder statesmen, the AARP quarterbacks of the group, the redshirt seniors, the 5th and 6th year guys, because there's a lot of those as well. And probably some we don't need to talk about, but some we have to, because there are some getting hyped that I don't know if they should be. So we'll address some of that in tomorrow's episode. But it's always good to talk about some young guys. And the best thing about these young guys is they have tools. I love talking about guys who have tools, even if they're not all the way there yet. So, but James, do you have anything to add before we get out of here?
I don't. I've got a lot of quarterbacks to watch for tomorrow's episode that I'm not necessarily like super optimistic about, but maybe there will be a gem. Who knows?
If there are, it's one I haven't found yet. So, but we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast.